Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Wredling Middle School. How many of you, this is your first time in the building? Oh, that's a lot of you. Just so you know, a little bit of interesting information. This actually first opened up as a high school. And from one end down there to the other end down there is a quarter mile. So no, your kids are never going to make it to class on time. Especially those 8th graders far down on the other end. My name is Tim Leversky. I'm the principal here at Wredling. Just to give you a little setup, we are live streaming, so if people who are videoing, we get to walk between that part of the screen and this part of the screen. Stay in the center. So tonight you're going to hear from some of our teachers, some of our administrators, all about Wredling. You're going to have the opportunity to hear part about our lives and who we are, but also about the academics and what it's like to be a 6th grader here at Wredling. At the end, we'll have time for a few questions, but we also have I have a question sheet, which are in the very back. You fill one of those out, leave it back there, and we will call you or email you with questions, depending on which mode you would prefer. So just so you know, that is available if you don't want to stick around. After this, there is a presentation for our special education parents so that they can stay here. We're going to invite all of you to head out to the lobby. You can talk with Lydia Granger, who's our PTO president, along with our administrators, who will be here to answer any more questions. But we're going to, right after this, we're going to hop right into our special education presentation. So to give you a little bit of information, so our outcomes for tonight, we want to have you get to know your administrators and team leaders. And in middle school, we have team leaders who are responsible for a group of kids. We want you to have a better understanding of what middle school it is, particularly here at Wredling. We want you to picture your child's school day, increase your comfort level, and identify ways to be involved here at Wredling. How many of you went to a middle school, not a junior high, a middle school? It means we have a really old crowd here. Most of us went to junior highs, which were set up in typical high school fashion, which is they were set up as departments. So they had a math department and an English department and a social studies department. Here in middle school, we have teams, smaller groups of teachers and kids who work together to collaborate to do a whole bunch of things that our teachers will talk about today. So this good-looking fellow right here, that's me in junior high right there. So I grew up in Wheaton. Anyone from Wheaton? So great place to grow up. So we used to ask my mom for $5 to go downtown and then get on a train to go to Chicago. Right, that's what my mom said too. Right, she wasn't thrilled. So she didn't find out till I was in college, so it was a little late at that point to do anything. But I grew up pretty typical suburban family. I have 5 brothers and sisters up there who, 3 of us are educators. My little sister, who is the one in the pink dress right there, she's a middle school principal down in Phoenix. So my other sister is a teacher in Naperville. I have a brother who's a lawyer and a brother who's a computer sales guy. So all of us have been in education at one point or another. And then these are my 2 kids. They hate me showing this picture. That's Sam and Maggie. Maggie's a freshman now, actually heading into her sophomore year at Tulane University. And Sam is going to be a senior at Lombard South next year. So Lombard South, right now. Go Raiders. All right, so I'd like to introduce Dr. Patrick McGuire, who's going to talk to you a little bit about him.
Thank you, Mr. Leversky. Welcome. As Mr. Leversky said, I'm the 6th grade assistant principal. I'm Dr. Patrick McGuire. I'm really excited because I'm going to get to grow with all of your children. I worked with 6th grade this past year, and so I'm really excited to work with the next incoming 6th grade group. This year we had a great opportunity to meet them last week. I know they're all excited, a little bit nervous. Sometimes we have to wonder, is it the parents that are more nervous or the kids? So we always kind of laugh a little bit about that. So a little bit about me. So I formerly was a teacher here in St. Charles. I taught at Fox Ridge actually for about 8 years. And I actually taught here at Wredling, taught 7th grade and also 8th grade for a number of years. And left to be an assistant principal, and they had another assistant principal. So I was excited to come back and be here. So I'm excited to be a part of this leadership in the school. So a couple of things about me, my family and center. That's my wife, Jennifer. She also was a teacher in the district. Now she's at home with our 2 children. That's my daughter, Mackenzie, and my son, Maverick. My daughter, Mackenzie, is 3, and Maverick was just born in March. So we're not getting a whole lot of sleep. Actually, he's much better than my daughter, but a couple pictures of them, pictures of my dogs. And then one of the things that I try to connect kids is we have cabins in our family, and I absolutely love boating and fishing. So we're very, very blessed to do that. So one of the things I try to, connect with kids is try to talk up fishing, get them outdoors. It's something that I have a passion for and I love to do. So a couple other things. I love sports. I know that a lot of our students coming in here enjoy participating in that also. It's a great connection to have with them, but we'll talk football, baseball. It's great. But I'm really, really excited to be a part of their journey and work with them in the fall. As Mr. Leversky said, we look forward to working with all you as well and answering the questions you guys might have. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Lidman, who is our 7th grade assistant principal. Well, Mrs. Digg, I guess we're going out of order.
It's called being flexible. We can do that. That's every single day. Hello and welcome. I'm Michelle Digg, and I am the 8th grade administrator. That doesn't mean I don't have an opportunity to work with your 6th graders. I also work with them in other capacities as far as clubs and after school things that we do here at school. So we kind of all share the wealth of working with the kids. So it's a great privilege to be here tonight and to welcome all of you. To tell you a little bit about my history, this is my 16th year in education. I started my career out on the East Coast teaching high school, juniors and seniors, so that was interesting. And then moved here and took a middle school position where I started off at 6th grade teaching social studies and language arts, and then 7th grade language arts and drama, and then 8th grade language arts. And then I eventually made my way from Thompson Middle School, where I taught for a decade, to Wredling, where I've now been here for 6 years as an administrator. So I am super excited to welcome all of you. To give you a little bit more background besides teaching, I have 2 children. I have a 32-year-old, that's so hard for me to say, and a 30-year-old. My husband and I just celebrated 34 years of marriage, so many years of celebration. And they have been the catalyst behind my dreams. So I didn't go to college until my mid-30s. And so when I look up here and I have believe in yourself, I can remember my first day on a college campus at the age of 34 saying to my husband, I cannot do this. These are 17, 18-year-old kids that I'm trying to start my career with. I'm not sure I can handle this. He goes, believe in yourself, you can do it. So what I say to you is I believe in your children every single day that they're here because I know that somebody believed in me and that brought me to this very point today. So for me, believing in children and believing that all is possible is what guides me in the work that I do with every student that I work with. So with that, I'm not gonna go through all my pictures, but just know that I'm a sports lover, an enthusiast of pictures and photography, but I'm terrible at it. And I just absolutely love my family and I love education. And I'm so lucky that we have your kiddos coming to us next year. With that, I'm gonna turn it over to Diane Lidman, who's gonna be our 7th grade administrator next year.
Thanks, Michelle. So I too am in my 16th year in the district. I had a slightly different journey. So I spent 16 years as an intellectual property attorney in the city of Chicago, and then one day came home and made the very logical decision to say, I'm gonna go teach 2nd grade now. It went over really well, I just gotta tell you. So I started the year that Norton Creek opened, and I taught 2nd and 4th grade at Norton Creek. Then I became an instructional coach over at Munhall, joined the district at the curriculum level, and I've been an AP now for 3 years. So that's kind of what that slide means. One of the things you'll notice about the admin team is we're pretty much education junkies, and we tend to have raised education junkies. So I beat everyone now. I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids. This is the baby is in the middle here with the Leon. She just graduated from Go Ducks, University of Oregon, and is now getting ready to start med school. So that's been a crazy year. My therapy after a fine day of middle schoolers is to go home and chop food. So I am, if you follow me on Instagram, my whole Instagram food is what I cook. And I also happen to have a posse. So those are my current babies. We welcome you to Wredling, and we're so excited for your kids to start and for you to hear about the different opportunities that this school community has to offer your children.
So a little philosophy about middle school and my beliefs about what middle school should be. So first of all, we want middle school to be a safe place. How many of you felt that junior high or middle school was safe and comfortable? I loved it, so I'm a hard one to do. Okay, we got about 20% of your hands were like, yeah, okay. Middle school can be a really unsure time for kids. And our goal is to make it as safe as possible by creating small learning communities here at a very big school. Next year, we're going to be about 1,430 kids. I know all of you, wow, really? Yeah, 1,430. But within that, we have small teams, about 125 kids. And they develop that smaller learning community with some outstanding teachers who really keep an eye on them throughout the year. So we want school to be safe. We want school to be challenging. There's this sweet spot for challenge, right where kids are frustrated, but not quite frustrated. There's an edge right there for every child where I can get it without going over the edge of, oh, I can't do this anymore. We really work hard to stay just to the left of that sweet spot to make sure that kids are challenged at their level. And so our teachers will look at different levels of lesson. If your child needs a little bit less practice in something, they'll work with you on that sort of thing. So we try to find that sweet spot of what is challenging. We also want kids to fail. And I know that's not something you hear principals say very often, but we want them to fail. We give our kids occasionally problems that can't be solved because many of our kids have never had failure in their lives. And failure is really something important to let them try to experience. All of a sudden we get kids in high school who get their first B, and I don't know what to do with it. A B on a test, a B on a quiz, a B in a class, or gosh forbid in St. Charles, a C. So we want kids to experience that level of challenge and to push them a little harder than maybe they're comfortable with. When you see your child failing, it's okay. Give them that opportunity. Be behind them, encouraging them, but give them the freedom to fail. It's okay to fail. We come from a fail-adverse society. But if you look at all the people who've invented things, created things, done things, started businesses, all of them have failed at some point. And if we don't teach our kids to fail, we're going to be in trouble in the future. And right now we're tended at that as a society, whereas we don't want our kids to feel bad. We don't want them to feel uncomfortable. It's okay. We want them to actually feel that because that's how they learn how to cope, how to self-regulate, how to do all those things when challenges come their way, they understand what to do. If they never experience that challenge, that failure, they will never know what to do when it comes their way. And as you parents, you have experienced failure on a daily basis. It's what we do as parents. This doesn't work, so we try something new. If you're a perfectionist parent, that's really hard. So let your kids get messy. When they don't do a homework assignment and they're giving you grief about turning it in, let them understand that the consequences in life are you're going to get a lower grade. That's okay, because eventually all of our kids find their place in life. They all find that great sweet spot of what's good in life. We see that over and over and over. And honestly, a B in middle school doesn't hurt anybody ever. So self-advocacy. We want our kids to become strong self-advocates. So you'll see at the beginning of the year, I'm going to send you an email called Problem Solving at Wredling Middle School. I send it out every year. And it's, what do we do when there's a problem? And step number one, before mom or dad or anyone else calls the teacher, deals with the teacher, is we encourage you to have your child talk to the teacher. Now that's a little tough at first, so you may send an email saying, hey mom, hey Mr. Smith, we need you to just maybe approach Josh about this. We don't want to tell him, but we want to be a little backdoor, and then the next time it creates the opportunity for Josh to really self-advocate for himself. So that is a really important thing, is developing that. If Josh decides it's not important enough to go talk to the teacher, maybe it's not. Maybe it's okay that, gosh, he's not going to feel comfortable to do this time. I have my daughter is all over self-advocacy. She will self-advocate for anything. My son, on the other hand, we have to push him, like say, Sam, Thursday, we're going to keep your phone for 4 hours. So you have to find that right level for your kid. And then fun. School absolutely should be fun. I like to have fun at school. You'll see I send you goofy emails. Sometimes they have phone calls with music in them. Please be patient with me. It's just my inner child coming out. But I want to have fun here at school. We have a whole bunch of clubs and activities and great things. We want classwork to be fun. Not all the time, but we want school to be fun some of the time so that it's not a drag to come to. If I worked in a job that wasn't partially fun, honestly, I'd stop going. A few nods from heads from the dads are like, yep, I am. So those of you who have teenagers, you're like, yeah, we're not coming around. So what is middle school?
All right, so Ms. Oliversky kind of dove into it very briefly. So numerically, it's 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, right? So what exactly defines that middle school experience? Well, we know with our students that are coming in, as sixth graders, they're going to look a lot different when they leave as eighth graders, right? So there's a lot of physical changes that are going to develop and change over the. From an academic standpoint, right, our job is to help them grow so that their years here, they're challenged, they have an opportunity. Probably, and all of us have a little bit of a different experience, but probably may not be our most memorable years just because there were so many things that we were confronted with. So what does that look like here at Wredling? So as I said, it's that transitional time that they have. They're leaving kind of that smaller piece of elementary and they're growing, so their responsibility is going to get a little bit bigger as they enter the doors. But we're here to help guide them. Right? We want to make that transition be smooth as possible. Sure, last week when they were here visiting for Step Up Day, I said today is the first day of many down the road to help make sure that this transition is as smooth as we possibly can make it. Ask all the questions today. When you get here, try your lock-in lanes. I'm sure by the second or third week, have this down pat. So as Ms. Loversky said, it's teams within a larger setting of the building. So at sixth grade, we have 4 teams. Those team students will be assigned to one of those 4 teams. And on that team are your core teachers. So that's your math, your science, your social studies, and language arts. The unique thing about the way that we structure that is that those teachers will see your child. So if there's some things that will work in one class that seem to be successful, maybe they're struggling in another class, that's an opportunity for those teachers to come together to really problem solve to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing from so-and-so. What are some strategies, some tools you're working with to help them be successful in your classroom? It also gives them an opportunity to say, hey, you know what, they may be struggling with something. How can we help counterbalance that through their schedule within the day? So they are kind of the first responders on the pulse of how your son or daughter is doing in school, not just from an academic standpoint, but from a social emotional point. Those are your go-tos. You'll meet a couple team leaders tonight that really facilitate that belief within their own team. The interdisciplinary approach is kind of what I just explained. So we infuse a lot of the reading, the math, the writing into all of our core subjects. And really it blends into many others, but they all work in cohesion with one another. So it's across the curriculum. So it's not just language arts where you're going to do reading and writing. It really is blended into your science and your math and your social studies because elements play an important role in all of those other core subjects. We'll get into some of the exploratory a little bit later, but it really is that interdisciplinary approach. So it's not an individual that is responsible for reading, an individual that's responsible for math. It really is the team effort. So we'll talk a little bit about the exploratory program later. Student support, we'll have a little more in-depth on how your child is supported, not just from a team standpoint, but from our counseling and our social workers. We certainly want to make sure that their experience here is a positive one. We want them to know that there are outlets in place to help support them, especially if they encounter any problems or anything that's going on. We have people to talk to. We have our administrative staff, we have our counselors, we have our social workers. They had an opportunity to meet some of them as well last week, but we'll talk a little bit more in depth about them a little bit later. The school day is 8:25 to 3:30, so the students will come in. They'll go to their pod areas. They'll kind of spend some time there socializing, getting ready for the day. They'll get into their class. We do our announcements, and then the day starts, and then we dismiss at 3:30. So you want to start? All right, so transition to sixth grade. So the counselors and staff, we had our 5th grade visits last week. We have also had our counselors meet with all of the 5th grade teachers. So that was an opportunity to kind of get a first lens of more of a profile on the student that's going to be coming to middle school. So how are they academically? Are there some peers that they're successful with? Are there peers that maybe we shouldn't keep them with? Are there, what are some strategies and tools that seem to help them be a real strong student? And what can we continue as they enter middle school? So we did all that. We kind of got the narrative on each of the students, and then we look at that big picture. So that certainly as the year starts out next year, we're in communication, but if something were to rise or come up, we can go back to some of that information and say, all right, this is something that we need to keep on our radar. The students came last week, as I mentioned. The students, we have a Jumpstart program. It really is a transitional program for students. really the first week of August, the 6th, 7th, and 8th, for those students who may be a little bit more, might need some support with some executive functioning or have high anxiety as they're coming into middle school, and maybe more than comparatively to their peers. So there'll be some more information that'll be on the website about that. But then our web orientation for students will really be kind of working with our peer leaders within Wredling that will do some team building, get to know you activities, really acclimate them to the building while they're here, and that will be on Friday, August 9th for all the students to be able to attend. And it's a really great experience for a few hours for them to kind of really ease into the school year.
So one of the things we want you to know about Wredling in terms of what we do and how we do it is that we really want to put kids first. As we think of things like budget, busing, teacher assignments in hallways, we always look at what makes our kids feel safe and secure and creates the best environment here at Lakewood, or here at Wredling for all those different things. Lakewood was like 3 schools ago. Collaboration and trust, that's something we do with parents. We really will work with our PTO, with our parents to make sure we have a good collaborative environment here at Wredling. And then we work with trust. And if that trust isn't ever there, you need to let us know. We need to be able to know so we can repair the relationship and figure out how to do it better. We are absolutely an imperfect school. I am an imperfect principal. There are things that we do that are mistakes, and we work hard to fix them when they're wrong. We want to be consistent. One of the things we know about kids is they love consistency. If you've all had a boss who isn't consistent, who isn't predictable, you'll know how distressing that can be. Same thing with staff. We want predictability and consistency within our school. And then high levels of learning for all students. There are all different learners, from kids who read at a first and second grade level, all the way up through kids who are reading easily at a college level. We try to get that spot for each child within the classroom and make sure that we address their needs. And again, that's an opportunity if you feel your child's needs aren't met. We look at daily exam practices and we move to be able to meet the needs of your child. So tonight, a couple things you're going to learn about. Our schedule and expectation, our academics, and the more, which is we have our core, so math, science, ELA, social studies, and then the more. So this is what a schedule will look like. So this is an example schedule here at Wredling. So we have, this is one of our teams. So social studies, they see Mrs. Vogt, second period, they go to science. Third period, they get a break and they go to art. Fourth period, they'll go to lunch. Fifth period, they'll go to math, then to language arts. Then to applied study skills or another explorer class, maybe orchestra or band, and then to PE at the end of the day. Now, this won't be your child's schedule exactly. Some kids will have PE at the start of the day, and it really varies from grade to grade, from class to class. But this is what a typical schedule looks like. Very simple, very easy to follow. The first few days of school, we actually have what are called red shirts. Which maybe some of you wear a red shirt, and our sixth graders know to go to you for help, whether it's opening your locker, whether it is figuring out where the bathroom is, whether it's figuring out how to get to class. Our red shirts are here for our kids for the first week to help kids feel safe and get to the right place and realize we're not going to mark you tardy the first week. Don't worry about it. Get to where you're going, and we'll help you get there. So it's a great group who helps us out. So common expectations, Dr. McGuire.
All right, so one of the things that we did, and these are created by both staff and students, is in our common areas, like in the cafeteria or in hallways or in classrooms or in the LRC, we wanted to design and build expectations of what that looks like, sounds like, and feels like. So we created these guidelines to show respect. What does it mean when you are following the directions and walking in the cafeteria? Why is that important? Why is it safe, and how can that be useful for everybody if we all follow that? Same thing for our hallways. Why is it important to walk? How can we keep us safe? Why is it important to be respectful of peers and adults? So we have these modeled throughout all of our building, in the cafeteria, like I said, in the hallways, and also in our washrooms, in our classrooms. Again, really designed by kids, but we really live and breathe this every single day. It's important that the kids know the expected and unexpected behaviors for that. So one of the other things that we've done, and actually I presented this last week for all the incoming fifth to sixth graders, is our guidelines for success. I know each of the administrators hit on each one of these terms and highlighted what does that look like, sound like, feel like, and what is that important. So each day I can feel, be responsible, respectful, positive, honest, kind, and persevere. I actually highlighted the perseverance because there'll be some times next year and years to come where they're going to, be confronted with some challenge. And how do we approach that? How do we go through it? What are the resources that we need to be successful beyond that? So this is something that we will talk about heavily next year, but we introduced it last week to all of your children.
So discipline, it's a natural part of the middle school experience, actually takes up a significant part of our day. So what we want you to realize is you are about to embark on a child that is evolving and changing. And while you may have had a student that you never, ever had lied to you before, you are about to experience that. So we talk about all these various things that adolescents may bring, brand new things you haven't seen before. And we have consequences. One of the things you're going to start hearing us talk about in the middle school experience is restorative justice. So as we think about a student and discipline, we kind of think about 5 things. So first, we investigate. So you will hear that a student had to come to the office and fill out an incident report. That's because we want them to slow down and really think about their story and really emphasize that we want accuracy and truth in that story. We also maybe mention that we have video cameras in that location to encourage the truth in that story. And then after we investigate, we identify what the appropriate consequence would be. We follow through with that consequence. For some of the minor things that you see up here, you may not hear from us because we are now working with your student and they are responsible. If things get a little bit more serious, you will hear from us. With that consequence also comes an identification of the support that student needs. So maybe they need to meet with their grade level counselor. Maybe they need to follow up with an administrator to do some goal setting and making some plans for what will look different. And then we want to monitor. So we want to follow up with the team. We'll share that information with team members to let them know. Administrators meet regularly with teams, so we keep them posted on things that are happening at the office at this level. So just to give you a little bit more information there.
I really want to highlight this bullet point down here, which is something that doesn't tend to happen much in 6th grade, but we have seen 6th grade now, bathing in 6th grade. It's an epidemic in our high schools. I have a daughter who fully believes and a son who fully believes that about 70% of our kids vape in high school. That statistically is accurate with what our high school deans are seeing and what our police liaison officers are seeing. So that's just something to be aware of. Make sure you are aware of what they look like and some of the behaviors associated. They're easy to get. High school kids are buying them for middle school kids, but just be aware of that. This is something that's very quickly, it's not trickling, it's flowing down the middle school. So we want to talk to you a little bit about the 6th grade core, what our core is like and what to expect. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Wendell to tell you a little bit about it.
Mr. Leversky, greetings everybody. I'm Rick Wendell. I'm a math teacher. I'm a team leader for 6-1, and at the very moment, I'm standing in for Mr. Walker, who's also a team leader of 6-3 and a math teacher. So this was supposed to be his slide, but he had some things that he had to attend to tonight. So math is my favorite subject, so it's kind of a win for me. We go through a variety of instructional practices in math, and typically we try to make it fun, we make it engaging, and as you heard mentioned before, we are really looking to push all kids to their highest levels and support all those kids that are struggling a little bit. So you will hopefully hear it over and over again, expect homework daily. In middle school, math kind of becomes like the routine of being every night. If your child is saying, oh, I did it at school, then they're not doing work at home. So please encourage them to bring it home if it's done. Show me what you're doing, explain it to me, because that's even part of the learning process when they have dialogue with you about math. So there'll be a lot of different and exciting things. We are also seeing students come into the middle schools a lot more prepared. The past few years of what they've been doing in elementary has been amazing. So I'm already super excited to get started with the new kids next year. A couple of big topics that all of the math classes are going to take: ratios, proportions, number systems, expressions, and equations. you'll be seeing stuff that looks like algebra, because that's what it is. And then some geometry, which is probably the most fun, and it's very visual, and it's great for kids. And one thing that we've realized too is kids have different levels of strength. Sometimes kids are really strong in one area, and then all of a sudden you go to a new unit, and that star student is struggling. So you see a lot of dips and accelerations throughout the year in one class. So please keep an eye on them, make sure they're doing math daily. And the big difference between Mr. Walker and me is I'm the one that has hair. So you'll notice him when you see him next year. Mrs. LaGrassa, here we go from Team 6-2.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie LaGrassa, and I'm the team leader for Team 6-2. I'm going to tell you a little bit about language arts tonight. I kind of want to piggyback off of what Mr. Wendell said about kids having strengths in different areas. So you might have a very strong language arts student, and you might see that maybe they're not as good or as strong in science, and that's perfectly okay. We're going to get them to their highest level and help them out where we can. So reading. They will be exposed to many different genres. So if they're stuck on sci-fi, they're gonna be exposed to some more things next year with a variety of purposes. And they should be independently reading every night for at least 20 minutes. And they'll always have a novel they'll be working on. For writing, they'll be writing to various audiences in different modes: narrative, expository, argumentative. And they really get into the writing process, and they'll be doing some kid blogs, and they get really good. They're really building their skills next year in writing. And we see that across all the content areas. They'll be doing a lot of writing in science, as well as reading too. Thank you. And please, one more slide. Speaking and listening. So they will be using those skills as well to be able to articulate the things that they're writing. They'll be doing lit circles and small group, medium and large group activities with their reading and writing, which is great. And we'll see that across the content areas as well. And so I think we're moving on to 6th grade science. Please let us know if there's anything we can help you with. Email. We're here to help. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Jolene Ware, and I am a science teacher and a team leader here at Wredling. Our science curriculum is based on iQuest, and we have 4 core units that we get into throughout the year. We have an integrated approach, which means that we see a little bit of physical science, a little bit of life science and chemistry and earth science. So each one of our 4 units kind of hits one of those. So our first unit that we start off with is our physicals science unit, and that is Can I Believe My Eyes? We look at how we see things and optical illusions. Our second unit is our life science unit, which is Where Have the Creatures Gone? So we take a look at population changes. Our third unit is chemistry. This flipped, but our third unit is chemistry. That is How Can I Smell Things from a Distance, which is very fitting for middle school as well. And then our last unit is our earth science unit, which we're currently in right now, and that is How Does Water Shape Our World? All of our units are NGSS aligned, and that means we have a 3-pronged approach. So we have our disciplinary core ideas, which is kind of your content, the vocabulary. We have the cross-cutting concepts, which are 8 practices that are integrated throughout their units. And the last part is the science and engineering practices. And social studies.
Okay, today I'm not Mr. Walker, I'm Mr. Wendell for social studies, and I do teach social studies, so it would be my secondary passion. And here is the lowdown on what you get. You get pegs. So one of the bright sides about social studies is you should not see a lot of homework with social studies. We do a lot of working in class, studying these 4 topics. So it's always going to be in-class work, group work, and I find it to be a lot of fun and a little bit more relaxed than some of our more intense subject areas. So hopefully your child's going to enjoy social studies. You can kind of read the slide here. We're looking at trying to involve our students with global learning, understanding how we're all interconnected in ways that we don't yet recognize as the young kids that we are right now in 5th grade. So it's an engaging process. It's a learning experience. and hopefully it's gonna be a little bit of a geo adventure for the kids as we're learning about things around the world. So I will not be teaching social studies next year if the schedule stays the way it is, but I know that all the social studies teachers are really passionate people, and it's gonna be an exciting year in social studies.
So building literacy is across content areas here. We have a absolute. Hi. We have an amazing LRC, and we have amazing staff that supports literacy here. So we have a dedicated LRC director who also is heavily involved in instruction. We have an instructional support coach that co-teaches, co-plans, and works with our teachers, and we have a dedicated reading specialist. To that end, we have a think space in our LRC, we have a read space, and we have a maker space, which is absolutely breathtaking in the level of creativity. We have multiple 3D printers. We also have an outdoor space, so we have a pond space that's been developed by one of our clubs outside, and kids care for and maintain that, plus it's an outdoor classroom space as well. It's where collaboration happens. It's used daily. It's really kind of has a feel of a public library for kids. And then I did want to add, so I'm going to read this to you. This is from our reading specialist in our ISC. It's for a summer reading program. This year, we're partnering with the St. Charles Public Library to promote summer reading. Students can sign up at the library and are encouraged to read for 20-minute sessions throughout the summer to earn prizes, coupons, and raffle tickets. Along with this, Wredling is encouraging students to read from the 2020 Rebecca Caudle nominees. These titles have been selected as outstanding contributions to young adult literature, and all students who read at least 3 titles will be eligible to participate in a statewide vote in February. More information will follow. The Explore and More. So we've talked to you about the core classes that our kiddos participate in. In terms of what our students do in this period during the day, it happens every quarter. So they change their Explore class each quarter. Our 6th graders are actually assigned 4 Explorers for the year, but they'll rotate through those for the year. Can you go to the next? So they are all of our 6th graders are offered 2 Project Lead the Way courses and a study skills class and an art class. The plus, Mrs. Day will talk about in a moment. So your students are coming into our system already having experienced Project Lead the Way units in elementary school. We started integrating those as early as kindergarten in the last 3 years. So these are extensions to that and allow our kids to continue to grow those STEM skills here in the middle school environment, and then that will connect all the way to high school as well. So energy in the environment, as well as the next one I'm going to talk about, are brand new for us for 6th graders this next year. And one of the things you're going to notice, I mean, there's guts to this course in terms of looking at energy and developing models. But one of the things they're also doing is really focusing on those soft skills. So they're focusing on collaboration, problem solving, creativity, revising projects. And that's a really big part of the Project Lead the Way model. Innovators and Makers uses our makerspace. Kids are actually going to develop projects, looking at individually, getting feedback, and creating. So, and that's going to take much of our makerspace to develop that. Our arts, Mrs. Hubbs is our art teacher. She's an incredibly passionate artist and art teacher, and kids love this course. And that again is 1 quarter. And then a course that is, I think, critically important for our 6th graders. I'm not sure how much you consider your 6th grader organized and self-motivated in their organization. It's really fascinating this year. It's fascinating, the food, the assignments for first quarter. So study skills is an opportunity for 1 quarter to build up those skills with note-taking, executive functioning skills, organizational skills, and strategies for having conversation in classes. So we consider that a fairly critical class I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Day. So she's going to talk a bit about plus classes.
Before we go into foreign language, I'll just talk a little bit about the plus classes. So the plus classes are intervention classes. So what that is, we have a language arts plus, and we have a math plus, and we have a Trek class. These are classes that are designed for kids who may be struggling in a content area. Maybe it's math, maybe it's language arts, maybe there's some social emotional struggle that we need to provide some support for that student. So we look to identify kids that could benefit from an intervention class, and we look to have them in that intervention for a semester. In that semester, they're participating in progress monitoring every other week. They're goal setting. They're the teacher's looking to not only address current skills in the classroom to support the everyday learning, but we're also looking to identify some maybe deficit areas that a student has and make sure that we're backfilling that with some instruction to try to catch that student up. And so we look to identify kids to give them that support. And then our goal is to get them out of that intervention class and back into the explore wheel so that they can participate in those classes. But our main priority is to always backfill an area of deficit so that a student is not falling further and further behind. We have our counselors reaching out to parents to inform them along the way if that's going to be a possibility. Letters, I know for 6th grade, I believe they were going to either be mailing letters or she was going to send an email out to parents because it's tougher. Since you're not in our building yet, she was going to communicate students who might benefit from that intervention and have a conversation if you need to have that conversation with our counselor, who is Mrs. Swinsky. She will be available for you if she has that desire to talk to you about intervention or send you an email about intervention for next year. If you have questions about intervention after our meeting, please stop and see me so I can answer any questions that you have. And I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bree.
Hi, I'm Dara Creek. I'm representing foreign language today. We are very fortunate enough to have 3 different language programs here at Wredling. We offer German, French, and Spanish. I am a 7th and 8th grade Spanish teacher, so if you're going to take foreign language, you might have me one day in the future. We are a more class, so they're not quarterly. It's a full year program. The cool thing that we offer here is high school credit for taking foreign language at the middle school. So for those of you enrolled in foreign language in 6th grade, that's equivalent to semester 1 of foreign language at the high school. So we really break it down in 6th and 7th grade for you to help build those foundational skills. And we take regular language level 2 in 8th grade. It is an academic class, so there is homework every night. There's studying, there's reading, there's speaking. Our goal is communication, so by the time you graduate high school or even middle school, we hopefully don't hear, I took 4 years of language and I can't speak it. So the key to foreign language, if you don't use it, you will lose it. So there is homework every night. Thanks.
One of the things to note about foreign languages is that it is for most kids, but it isn't for every kid. There is a myth out there that says to get into a good college, you need 4 to 5 years of foreign language. That's not true. Do you think U of I is not going to take an exceptional engineer with a 36 ACT because they didn't take first year Spanish? No. So keep that in mind. Some kids, it's just a struggle for that language piece. And there's plenty of opportunity for learning cultures and other things as they go through. So we want to talk to you a little bit about music. So I'll introduce Mr. Swenson.
Good evening. My name is Eric Swenson. I'm one of the band directors here. I feel like we have a very strong music department. We have an outstanding choir, outstanding orchestra, and the band program I think is really strong. I just wanted to say that if you have any questions about band, choir, orchestra, I'm going to stick around. Come see me. I can answer questions about instruments or anything like that. The 2 things that I'd really like to push is first, if you remember, orchestra and band was always before school. Then it's just a class during the day. So there's nothing before school unless your child chooses to audition in one of the groups like the jazz group or one of the choirs that meet before school, things like that. But we are just a class during the day, so that's kind of nice. In band and orchestra, we also have a lesson group, so they're in a small lesson group. Right now in the elementary school, they come down from other classes to meet with one of the band directors or orchestra directors, but we just do it right out of the class. So we team teach them, and so either Mr. Basin's running the band and I'm doing lessons, or Mr. Kovac is doing lessons and Mr. Hessick is running the orchestra, that kind of thing. So or the lessons happen during that hour. And so like I said, if you have any questions, I'm right here and I won't go away. If you have any questions, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Swenson. So PE. So right now, I think your son or daughter is probably in 4 days of PE, maybe 3 days of PE. They'll have PE every day, as Mr. Leversky said, it's embedded into their schedule in the fall, accordingly, either in the morning or in the afternoon. Dress code for PE, we don't have PE uniforms, right? But we do require that the students do change when they come. So they get out of their kind of everyday clothes and change into shorts or something comfortable that would allow them to potentially go outside. If it's nice, we try to go outside or still be able to exercise and participate in our gymnasiums or our fitness centers. So making sure that they're also bringing their clothes home at the end of the week. They're bringing deodorant every single day. So our PE teachers will talk about that hygiene very much so right from the get-go. So one of the things that we're really shifting in PE is really the focus on just physical fitness and being active participants and kind of tracking what your growth is in terms of fitness and what are you doing on a daily basis. They will wear heart monitors just to kind of keep track of how they're doing in their performance, but they also really infuse that into most of the lessons. For PE, there are 6 sessions. Am I saying that correct? So there's 6 different cycles. One of those cycles, your son or daughter will participate in a health class. So that will happen at various times, either 1 through 6 throughout the year, either in the beginning or by the end. So that's kind of a PE in a nutshell. One of the other things that your son or daughter will participate in, this is actually going to be in November this year, is outdoor ed. It's really like an all-day adventure where they get to go and they will go by their team. So all the students that are housed on their team, they'll travel to an external site and they really focus on strengthening relationships, team building. They'll do things like ropes courses. They're fed while they're there, but it really is a great way to unify the team. It's an excellent way for them to branch out because as they're new, they may know some kids that are on that team, but there'll be some other kids that they'll have a chance to work with that they come from another school that they really can build a partnership and a bond with. So here's some pictures from what they did previously, but it really is a fun day. I was very fortunate to be able to go with them this year. Just an exciting day for them to really maximize their potential, to get to know more, not only about their teachers, but more importantly, their peers. So yeah.
One note about outdoor ed, we are going to a new location. For many years, we've gone to Lake Geneva, to Covenant Harbor, and we're going to a different camp. I can't remember the name. I think maybe Camp Duncan. But here in Illinois, shorter distance away, so we can actually spend a little more time. So here's some of the clubs. Most school districts have 5 clubs, maybe 10. At Wredling, we have 30 to 40. Next year will be around 25 to 30 clubs, actually. So we have a whole bunch of different clubs. We're going to divert a little club money to do some after school and before school tutoring for some kids who need some additional support. But between all of these, between band club, band, music choir, or band orchestra choir clubs, there's a ton of different ways for kids to get involved. When we do material pickup, you'll be able to come in and see, kids will be able to come in along with their parents and see all the different clubs we have. So more sports we have. So 6th grade opportunities. So at Wredling, we have cross-country, wrestling, and cheerleading. Those are the 3 sports for 6th graders. Come 7th and 8th grade, all the sports are open then. But for 6th grade, that is what we have. We also offer football, volleyball, boys and girls basketball, track and field for 7th and 8th grade students. Let's see, and then Wredling PTO, I'd like to ask Lydia Granger to come up to talk about our PTO.
Hi, my name is Lydia, and I am the PTO president for next year. I believe many of you picked this up on your way in. We have a pamphlet with a timeline of events for next year, and I just want to point out a few. That when I started here, I found it a little confusing. In September, you'll see there's a color run, and the date we have slotted is Friday, September 27th from 5 till 7 p.m. Great events. Kids walk around the track, they get sprayed with color. There's a food truck here last year. Save the date to get more information as school gets closer. Okay? All the information we have in a simple format is in this pamphlet, so keep it handy. Because you're inundated with information and emails. This will keep it simple. So who is in the PTO? Everyone in this room, every parent, every guardian, every teacher. we partner with the administration, teachers, staff to fill the gap, basically. We do fundraising, we pitch in as needed, we help out. We typically meet the first week of every month. Most of the people on the PTO are working. I work full-time. I'm PTO president. And we find time after work, come meet. Feel free to join us. We're in the conference room B, which is just around the corner from the office. The schedule is in the pamphlet as well. We do everything from covering field trips that can't get paid for by parents. We have purchased equipment. We have purchased wobble chairs. We fund some clubs. We pay for prizes, for contests, from everything from A to Z. We fill the gap when it's not really a district need. How we do this, there's one annual fundraiser. It's called Papa Nicholas Coffee. Information's in the pamphlet once again. We try not to nickel and dime you. We don't make you sell wrapping paper or candy. Nobody likes doing that. So it's one fundraiser. It's something that you can use. It's coffee, hot chocolate. If you don't like coffee, you don't like hot chocolate, we do a parallel fundraiser to write a check. Write a check. Put this out of your mind. We're happy to provide the receipt if you need one. Try to keep this as simple as possible. It can be overwhelming. The middle school PTO is structured a little differently, I think, than the elementary school. We are a skeleton crew. People typically stop volunteering in middle school. In elementary school, you have 6 years of parents' worth to pull from. We have 3. Incoming 6th grade parents are overwhelmed, a little nervous. They don't typically volunteer. The 8th grade parents tend to check out a little. So we do what we can with what we have. So this is in one screenshot. If you can remember anything, remember this. We have the board, president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. The red box is committee. The gray boxes are committees. There are 14 committees on the PTO. The red ones, business sponsors, the lobby, maintenance, beautification, notebook night, education foundation, district PTO, 8th grade celebration, box out. Those are typically standalone, 1 or 2 people. Don't need volunteers usually. These are the big ones. Wredling Wear, student recognition, summer activity fair, staff appreciation, annual fundraiser, material pickup, all around. These ask for volunteers. If you don't want to be a box, you can be a red shirt. What that means is you give us your information on this sheet, and when something comes up and you say, I don't want to be a boss or a leader, I just want to show up for an hour and be done, be a red shirt. When there's an opportunity, we send an email to the red shirts. It has a Sign Up Genius link. If you're interested, if you're free, if you can squeeze an hour during lunch, you can sign up there. No commitment. It's kind of a fun way to volunteer. So on this sheet, on the bottom right-hand corner, red shirt as needed volunteer. We do not get contact information from the administration. We don't have a database of everyone's email address and such. So if you don't sign up, you're not gonna know. And we've heard that complaint a couple times from existing families that they never knew you could volunteer, they never knew this. If you're not on the distribution list, you'll never get the emails to know it's happening. I am a firm believer of you're only as strong as the team below you. And I've done a lot of recruiting. We have very strong committee chairs in place at this time. We have 1 opening for vice president, which is difficult to fill. And I understand that, but if anyone's interested, feel free to ask. We also have staff appreciation chairs opening. It's a big job. It is comprised of about 10 events throughout the school year. We do a chili cook-off, they do a cheeseburger luncheon, hot dog party, salad party, and usually it's 3, 4, 5 parents grouping together and managing it throughout the year. Some may, someone may take October, some will volunteer for November, etc. So we do have quite a few openings for that, if anyone's interested. It is not a large time commitment because the work will be broken up. We do have one person who's pretty familiar with the process now, and she'll be somewhat leading it, or at least steering new people in the right direction. If you're not interested in any of the positions listed above, you can help in other ways. You can pay your $20 PTO dues online or through PushPoint is another option. It is optional. We are a charitable organization. We are not tied to Wredling. We're standalone. And we cannot mandate you're still a member whether you pay or not, but we are able to reduce our fundraising if we collect dues. You can attend PTO meetings on a regular basis. More input, the better. Fill out the volunteer form to be added to distribution lists and sign up to be registered. And while I'm here, I did recognize a few people, and I want to acknowledge you since you're here. There are some incoming sixth grade parents that have volunteered for committee chair positions here. So if you have volunteered, please stand up. Our super troopers. So these are some examples of the money we raised last year, what we purchased. And I believe that if we as a PTO are working hard, raising funds, we want our kids to benefit from it. So we are trying to spend what we earn. Does that make sense? We purchased a CNC lathe programming package curriculum for PLTW. That is what this thing is. Don't ask me any more about that, but it's pretty cool. You program it and it does it automatically for you. These are stand-up adjustable wiggle desks with foot kickers for the wiggle. We also have bouncy bands for desks that we purchased for several classrooms. These are bubble chairs. This table looks very simple. It's like the coolest thing. It's a dry erase table for math classes. So you do your math and you open it up. We bought a whole bunch of this book, hardcover, because they get destroyed in backpacks. This is Top Chef competition. We purchased and supported the Top Chef competition and bought the prizes. So if you need it, we purchased that. These are Gaga pits.
If you don't know what Gaga is, you're going to learn. Gaga, for us, what dodgeball was, without the 100 ball that you heard a lot. Gaga is for them. It's a game, it's really dodgeball played below the knee. So super fun. It's a game that came through YMCA's from Israel to the United States, and now is in school pretty much.
The gym teachers were just stoked. And this is 9 square. You play it up in the air. In elementary school, they play 4 square down on the ground and bounce it. This is up in the air, so next level. So just some examples of what we've purchased. If you have any questions, I'll stick around and back. If you'd like to sign up for something, feel free. Thank you.
So, 2 things. One is, if you look at this right here, before you leave today, I want you to fill those positions. You think I'm joking, you really are not. So 2 things you're gonna find. One is that, and 2 is fundraiser-wise. I am a big fundraiser. I'm very good at it. Last year, we made $26,000 in one fundraiser. We spend this year's dollars on this year's kids. So we're not holding that money aside for future years. The money we raise next year will be used on your kids next year. And we really look at how do we get big bang for our buck across our school. So I am going to email you a whole heck of a lot about ponying up some cash for our PTO. And then a group of parents decide, they ask teachers, how do we best spend this money? Teachers put proposals together, and this is some of the things, these are just some of the things that have been brought. They brought some other things as well. So some really great things. Our PTO has been absolutely amazing. Lydia is going to be a great leader. She's insightful. She's organized. She sees some of the small things that we need to tweak and has done that. But please be ready during fundraiser time. I'm hugely aggressive. So just write the check now. So I want to share with you our SST team, our student support team. This is the group of people who support your team. Along with the classroom teachers, if your child is struggling, these are the group of people who will help you during the day. Everywhere from a nurse, and mind you, a nurse's job is this. It's to take a temperature, it's to see if you're hungry, to see if you're thirsty, to see if you have to poop. Those are the things that the nurses check before they ever say, yep, you probably need to go home. So just so you know, we try to keep kids here at school as much as possible. They help with a wide variety of needs, but our job is when possible to get kids back in school. They do their best they can to call you when they can. Sometimes you may say, oh, I wish you would have called my child and let me know to come to my child. But we really do try to keep kids here at school, especially some kids who use the nurse's office or calling home to avoid school. So we work hard at that. We have a counselor, student assistance counselor, who deals with drug and alcohol and other issues. Student support specialist who deals with some of our kids with some more severe emotional issues. We have social workers, psychologists, a speech and language pathologist, and a reading specialist. So lots and lots of support for kids here at Wredling. So important dates for you to remember. We have materials pickup Thursday, August 1st and Tuesday, August 6th. You don't have to write that down. We're going to send that to you about a dozen times. We have student-only web orientation on Friday, August 9th for a half day from 9 to noon. Super fun day for kids. Some of you are going to say, we're on vacation during that time. What do we do? Nothing. You go on vacation. We will be here when you come back to pick up locks, to pick up locker assignments, to pick up schedules. Your child will have no problem. Once we have material pickup, you and your child are welcome to come to school any day to practice running that schedule. So they're not just coming once and then they're done and they don't know what to do. They can come as many times as they want. We have kids who will come 3, 4, 5 times just to practice to feel safe, and that's okay with us.